begin by thanking the Honourable Member for Angus for bringing this important debate forward today. And I'm delighted to participate, although I wish it wasn't necessary. But a debate about Eating Disorder Awareness Week, of course, is very important. With regards to this illness, in so many ways, despite what we've heard today, in so many ways we have come so far. When I think back to someone of the stature of Karen Carpenter, who died at the age of 32 in 1983 when I was 15 years old, those of us in the general population who mourned her passing really didn't appreciate what an eating disorder actually was, and we're still learning, it has to be said. But now we're having this debate during Eating Disorder Awareness Week, when the general public are much more aware and becoming much more aware about an illness which so often, so many people can fall prey to. This week is an international event which aims to raise further awareness of this issue and the stigma that too often goes alongside it. And charities work very hard to encourage people from all walks of life to come forward, because this illness, as we've heard, respects no gender, no class or no race. And this week, we see the UK Eating Disorder charity BEAT working very hard, continuing its work very hard to break down the barriers that so many people find when they try to access support. And those living with this condition need to know. It's very important that they and their families know that they are not alone. So the idea of sharing stories of how an eating disorder has affected others from all walks of life can be a very powerful tool indeed. Those who are in the darkest days of this disorder can be greatly comforted to hear the stories and experiences of those who have lived with this but come through it and are in recovery. But alongside this, we need to remember, and we've heard this earlier in the debate, that eating disorder can still very much be present in the process of recovery, and indeed can be something that overshadows a person's entire life even after recovery. It might seem a long way ago. One of the key barriers to tackling eating disorders is that they are too often stereotyped and not taken seriously. And only by continuing to raise awareness, by talking about it in places like this, by supporting charities in their outreach work, can real sufferers, seeing the struggles that they go through, can we see the change that we want to see. And we've heard today, and it is worth repeating, that social media has brought added complications to dealing with what is a very complex condition. Now our young people are very immersed in social media, a forum which projects the so-called perfect images of lifestyles and body images. And given how much young people are exposed to this, it's not difficult to see how a young vulnerable person could lose sight of what looks healthy or what looks real. And we have the scandal of particular websites advising people on how to eat without it being how not to eat without it being noticed by friends or family. And I think that's very chilling indeed. We need to continue to drive improvements in mental health services and ensure that everyone, including people with eating disorders who need access to high-quality mental health services, have access to that care that they need when they need it. But there's no denying that what we have are very positive first steps in ensuring that the visibility and public awareness of eating disorders and mental health challenges have risen in the past decade. But the demand on mental health services is so great that we must always seek ways to do better by those who need support, the kind of specialist support that this kind of condition requires. Challenges remain for mental health services right across the United Kingdom, but it's worth remembering that since the year 2000, the numbers diagnosed with eating disorders has risen by 15%, and hospital admissions for adult males suffering with an eating disorder has risen by 70% in the last 6 years. And that demonstrates the scale of the challenge that we face. And on top of all this, we know that on average, it is around 149 weeks before those experiencing an eating disorder even begin to seek help. That's a gap of almost 3 years of time lost. So offering support in ways that match young people's lives, in fact all people's lives really these days, is increasing the number of online support, peer online support that can assist with recovery, because that allows somebody living with this disorder to pair with a trained volunteer who has recovered from an eating disorder and to share their experiences and offer that support as and when they need. So I just want to end by saying that having this week dedicated to raising the profile of this illness, talking about it, recognising its complexities and its stigma is a very good start from where we were in the 1980s, when so many of us couldn't really understand how Karen Carpenter died, and nor could we appreciate the full extent of the difficulties her family had gone through. We've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go, and I think that this debate shows that we're keen to start down that road and go further.